Due to the diversity and comprehensiveness of track and field, which has more than 47 separate championships, 24 for men and 23 for women in the Olympics, every country can win a lot of medals by taking the sport seriously. To win medals, countries must identify and produce world-class elite athletes. OMPA 1985 found that identifying natural talent in people is one of the few important factors in achieving success in competition sports, and Mercrellet et al. Found early identification of susceptible individuals is the most influential factors. During this report, we aim to evaluate and produce the most effective ways to identify elite track and field athletes using both simple field tests, which, although easy to carry out, may not always produce accurate results, and lab tests which have produced very accurate results but may lack ecological validity due to its surroundings.
Currently, track and field athletes can apply for sponsorship to develop talent by earning a medal in events during the European Junior Championship or World Junior Championships. This method predicts that athletes achieve their peak performance after maturation and start their athletic maturation at a youth level. However, athletes can have an earlier peak performance and even start their athletic maturation at a later age. The model does not account for individual differences in growth and maturation, rate of learning, and importantly, fails to acknowledge those individuals who drop out at a certain level of performance or those who begin participating in sports and organized training during the adolescence. Our report aims to identify talent through biological, physiological, and biomechanical methods rather than using the current method.
Noakes found that elite distant runners should be made up of 60% slow twitch fibres, whereas elite sprinters were made up of 80% fast twitch fibres. Using tensiomyography, we could determine an individual's muscle fibre composition. Being close to the 60% slow twitch or 80% fast twitch could indicate that they have the potential to become an elite athlete. Tensiomyography, however, requires specialist equipment which may not be available to all talent identification programs. An alternative test is Dr. Hatfield, who said that squatting 80% of your 1RM was proven to determine an athlete's muscle fibre composition. Less than 7 repetitions shows an athlete to be fast twitch dominant. More than 8 repetitions shows the athlete to be slow twitch dominant. This procedure, however, is less accurate. By using force plates, we are able to assess an athlete's counter-movement jump performance, such as the height reached in the jump. Cronin and Hans in 2005 found that counter-movement jump height to be a variable significantly greater in faster athletes. Further research also found a significant correlation between counter-movement jump height and sprinting times. This would allow us to therefore determine which athletes are faster and have the potential to become elite in running track events. Research by Gonzalez, Badillo and Marquez found that we could also use the counter-movement jump performance as a predictor of power in an athlete. Power is used across many track and field events, for example high jump and sprinting. Athletes with greater power are therefore more likely to become elite.
VO2 max is an indirect measure of potential for success in endurance athletes. However, there is little or no correlation between sprinters and VO2 max. VO2 max gives an idea of the athlete's anaerobic profile and ability to compare and improve on the numbers. Running economy affects the VO2 max, and there are several factors affecting running economy, such as biomechanics and other external factors such as weather and clothing. VO2 max is a measure of oxygen consumption used in milliliters per kg of body mass. The higher the value, the better the body consumes oxygen and utilizes it. There are several ways to test the VO2 max of an athlete: a yo-yo intermittent test or a Cooper run, which are field-based assessments, and graded exercise test, a lab-based test. Athletes with higher VO2 max are able to keep their top speeds for a longer amount of time, and therefore it could be seen that sprinters could benefit from a higher VO2 max. Authors have concluded that a VO2 max of 67 milliliters of oxygen per kg helped athletes get into the elite status.
Lactate threshold testing can be utilized to determine appropriate training intensity and monitor progression in athletes of all levels. The test is similar to VO2 max test, although consists of slightly longer periods of time between changes in workload. The test does involve several blood samples taken from the fingers of assessment. It's not considered maximal test, but does require intensive effort said Noah 2003. The athlete initial lactate tests provide an indicator of fitness level and starting point for training. Depending on the protocols used, the following data acquired can be used to measure the maximum sustainable power through the running, recovery heart rate, how quickly the heart is able to return to recovery, and the relative index of fitness. Therefore, in general, athletes walk away with an immense amount of useful performance information. This method of testing, therefore, is useful to determine which athlete has the biological potential to become an elite player.
These studies have shown that there is a strong correlation between maximal squat strength with sprint performance and vertical jump height in elite athletes. A study done by Wisloff et al. 2004, where he got 17 athletes to take part in maximal half squats, 10-meter shuttle runs, and vertical jumps. Final results indicated that there was a strong correlation between maximal squat strength with sprint performance and vertical jump height in elite athletes. A conclusion indicated this was due to maximal strength in half squats, which determines sprint performance and jump height in high-level athletes. Also, it was concluded that elite athletes should focus on maximal strength training with emphasis of maximal mobilization of concentric movements, which may improve their sprint and jump performance. Therefore, we'll be using a 1RM squat due to its correlation with sprint performance and jump height, both of which are important in track and field events. A test will be run where a subject will perform maximal isometric squat on a force plate. The force plate will measure the subject's ground reaction force. This can help to determine how much power the athlete has during the takeoff phase during the sprint and at the start of the jump during the long jump. According to Nuzo et al. 2008, he suggested that there is a relationship between an isometric squat and jumps such as a counter movement jump and a squat jump. Therefore, this will aid in the athlete's performance throughout the sprints, high jumps, and long jumps.
Anthropometry is the study of proportions of the human body. In athletes, body composition measures are widely used to prescribe desirable body weights, to optimize competitive performance, and to assess the effects of training. It is generally accepted that a lower relative body fat is desirable for successful competition in most of the sports. This is because additional body fats add to the weight of the body without contributing to its force production or energy producing capabilities, which means a decrease in relative strength. It is obvious that an increased body weight will be detrimental in sporting activities where the body is moved against gravity. Example, high jump, pole vault, volleyball, spiking action, or propelled horizontally. Example, running. In running at submaximal speed, the oxygen required is increased with an increment in body weight, that is, oxygen consumption is increased due to the greater energy demand required to initiate and sustain movement of a larger weight. Previous research has demonstrated that athletes in all running events have less body fat compared to most other disciplines. We can test an athlete's body weight through the use of skin calipers, which are, although easy to use, do not always produce accurate results. A more accurate method is using the DEXA body scan, however the equipment is very expensive and may not be available to everyone.
When determining a training program for improving sprint running, the evidence-based sports or strength coach will always begin with the evidence from long-term trials. Plenty of studies have indicated that there is a large difference in the biomechanics of the sprint running movement between professional track athletes and amateur athletes. It has also been suggested that professional track sprinters might display less change in knee flexion during the stance phase as well as during the sprint phase in order to get as fast as possible. In this case, we'll run a test on a treadmill where a Qualisys motion capture system that will analyze the movement of an athlete. An AMG will be attached to the subject's knee in relation to Novacek's 1998 study. Track sprinters tend to produce greater hip flexion throughout the swing phase due to taking longer strides. Also, it can aid in the speed in which the legs are able to generate speed in order to perform maximally.